Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Daily Cannon Tactics Board. Stephen Bradley here, bringing you the tactical tweaks and quirks that came from Arsenal's continuation of their great run of form recently, with their 5th win in 5, their 7th win in 9, 9 wins in 11 in the Premier League, getting back in 4th place and putting a nice little gap between themselves and Tottenham and Manchester United and West Ham. Over the next 10-15 minutes or so, I'll be going over how Arsenal were able to beat a Leicester side that set up initially well, but Arsenal found it quite easily to break through, and for none of Leicester's fault, really. It was just one of those performances where Arsenal turned up and played well for 70 minutes. There was a 15-20 minute period at the end of the first half where things didn't go so well, but you can't expect perfection over 90 minutes. Like I said, if you do enjoy this video, leave a like, or if you did see something in the game that I've missed, leave a comment. And, like I said, we've got a fantastic community building of opinionated, respectful football players, football fans who love talking about the game. And yeah, even after the last video, people were pointing out that I wasn't giving Cedric enough credit for his role in Odegaard and Saka on the right hand side, and I get that, and I'll explain why I don't think he deserves too much credit, but he deserves some, because today was another example of a team setting up in a way to try and cover as many different passing angles and as many different scenarios as they can, and not being able to cope because sometimes 2 is better than 3. And what I mean by that is Arsenal have now set up in their now customary shape, this 4-1-4-1 of one defensive midfielder, 2 centre midfielders, but in essence are attacking midfielders who get forward, 2 wingers who like to cut inside, and Lacazette who joins up the play. And this is the same setup as Manchester City, and it should be no surprise. Obviously with Mikel Arteta's history of coaching at City and the way he wants to play as a whole. But it's only been the last month and a half where it hasn't really depended on the opposition. Arsenal have played this way. Arsenal have gone to 4-1-4-1. They're like, look, this is the way we want to play. And as a result, because they're becoming more familiar with it, because they're getting more game time playing in it, they're developing their own patterns, and they're developing their own passages of play where they're getting used to where the other person likes the ball and where players like to just be in general. And you'd think that that's something that can be scouted. If you know that a player likes the ball on his left or his right, then you'll cover his left side and his right side to try and push him away from dribbling on his left foot. And in most cases, this is true. But against this Arsenal side, you can't do that. And if you do, what ends up happening is what happened today to Leicester. Because Leicester did something not particularly out of the ordinary. When they were defending, they would play the good old Mike Bassett formation of 4-4-2. Just to try and, keep everything nice and tight. But what Leicester do, and it's what Liverpool kind of do as well, is that what they try to do is they try to force you to one side of the pitch. So if you've got the ball here, say if Tierney or Gabriel has the ball here, what Leicester like to do is either Madison or Iheanacho would run here, but Albrighton will go here, and then Barnes will come here. Dewsbury Hall, Mendy, Ricardo, what they'll all do is they'll all shift over. And the point is that as long as you can cover these passes here, you're trapping them. You're cutting off the whole right-hand side of the pitch. You're trying to narrow the pitch as much as possible and basically force them into here, into the belly of the beast, so to speak, into the press. And either what happens is you give the ball away here, or you just lump it up front because you've no ball. So this is what Leicester tries to do. Liverpool do it brilliantly. Like, their front 3 will just swarm all over you, force you basically to turn back into your own corner. And you end up like this, with like 6 Liverpool players just around you. And you're like, what do we do? And, the temptation is to lump it forward in the hope that when your midfielders get it, what usually happens, either you miscue it, or it goes to one of the midfielders and now they're in. What Arsenal did to counter this was very simple. They ignored it. And that might sound stupid, but what they did was they trusted themselves. And this takes time and it takes patience, and we're only starting to see the benefits of it now. But what Arsenal are doing is they are inviting the press onto them. So when Tierney or Gabriel or Ben White has the ball here, they want to be pressed. They want this to happen because they back themselves to find the press. So if Ben White's here and he finds himself with this happening, and Dewsbury Hall and Thomas, and he finds this happening, what Ben White backs himself to do over and over again is find the ball to Martinelli, to find that 50-yard ball. Or, if he actually comes too close, to find Partey and back his friend, back his teammate, to be able to turn Mendy or get the ball to Xhaka somehow. And Arsenal did that again and again and again. And what happened was Leicester decided, okay, this isn't going to work so much, but we're going to still continue to try and press one side. And they decided to do it to Arsenal's right. Because they're like, okay, we're going to try and get the ball in here as much as possible. Go to our good old friend, the heat map. You can see where Arsenal get the ball. In and around the right back, right centre back, and right midfielder there, right? So Leicester are trying to compress the pitch here. The problem is that as soon as Leicester did this, as soon as Leicester were in this position where they're trying to make sure that Arsenal get caught here, what Arsenal would immediately do was push Xhaka and Martinelli forward and almost give Ben White a target to go over. And he did it. And he did it 3 or 4 times. He'd either get it to Xhaka, or he'd get it to Martinelli, or he'd get it to Tierney, who would be very far wide left. And then Arsenal would break from there. And for 10 minutes, this wasn't being stopped. Because Leicester were trying to pin them in here. Because they were trying to give as little space possible to the likes of Odegaard and Saka, who they know that who have been in good form. So they're like, look, we'll keep as many players in this position as we can. No bother. So Arsenal went, fine, we'll just attack the other flank. And Albrighton didn't do a good enough job of getting back. So again and again, Leicester would have to retreat back. And it was Martinelli against Ricardo, and then Mendy minding Xhaka, and then the centre-back kind of acting as a cover. But Ricardo was left one-on-one with Martinelli all day long, and it was a complete mismatch. Martinelli had him beat both on the inside and the outside. And if Marty did come to cover and Ricardo tried to stop him cutting inside, well, off went Kieran Tierney on his bike. So that was happening for 10-15 minutes, and as a result, Leicester couldn't do this. They couldn't keep Arsenal in on the right-hand side. They couldn't press as much as they wanted to, because Arsenal were continually finding that long ball over the top. So what happens? Well, the natural thing happens. Ricardo says, no, I'm not going to continue pressing that far wide because I'm getting beat. So Marty now has to come back. So now Soyuncu has to come back. Now Nahomas has to come back, and you can see what's happening. Mendy now is stuck between pushing forward or coming back. And what he does, he's naturally defensive, he goes back. Dewsbury Hall follows his mate. Albrighton follows his mate. Madison and Iheanacho don't, and Harvey Barnes is left here by himself. And now all of a sudden, you've got Leicester running back to the right to stop this. So who comes and gets the ball? Odegaard. Like I said, usually when we see Arsenal with a heat map, we usually see a lot of red here. And there's only a tiny little blob. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, Odegaard picked up the ball a lot here at right back to basically try and draw this press in, so that Leicester would do this, giving Martinelli a chance to run at Ricardo. All right, he's trying. Again, they're doing this on purpose. It's risky, but they're doing this on purpose. They're inviting Leicester in. And then once Leicester couldn't trust themselves to keep doing this because of the risk that Martinelli posed on the left, they went back. And like I said, Barnes is still pushing forward. Madison's still pushing forward. Iheanacho's still pushing forward. And now Odegaard is free. And this is where I said at the start of the video 3 is better than 2, because Soyuncu wanted to make sure that Dewsbury Hall could get Lacazette. And that's fine. But with Harvey Barnes staying forward a lot of the time, because even when Leicester pushed, they'd always have 2 lads here looking to spring a counter-attack very quickly. And it'd always be Iheanacho on the right and Barnes on the left. And Maddison would come back. When I say this 2 is always better than 3, is because Dewsbury Hall basically left Lacazette. So Lacazette goes here on a Marty and tries to bring a Marty out of the game. Again, trying to get that one-on-one free. Cedric is now completely unmarked by Barnes. So Thomas has to stay here. Soyuncu decides, I don't care. Odegaard is not getting past, so I'm going to come close for Odegaard. So what do you do? What does Dewsbury Hall do? Dewsbury Hall tries to cover the space here, and he tries to cover the space here. But when I say 2 is better than 3, it's because Cedric did a brilliant job of being both involved in play and not involved with play. Because what he was, in essence, was a very, very glorified decoy. It is 3-on-3, but it isn't. Because the whole point of this little triangle here, isn't to get Cedric on the ball. It's to get Saka on the ball. And what Leicester failed to realise was that Cedric was a decoy. Because what would happen was Dewsbury Hall, Soyuncu and Thomas would all get sucked in by these 2. Right? As you would imagine. Because they're trying to stop the ball. And Cedric would bomb on forward. And now you're thinking, right, okay, one of them's going to move and leave it 2-on-2. But they didn't. They kept there. Because they also know that Cedric is a decoy. That they want to get Saka on the ball. And this is the beautiful thing about Arsenal right now. Odegaard and Saka, it's basically 2-on-3 on the right hand side for at least all of the second half. Well, basically 30 minutes of the second half and 30 minutes of the first half. And there's often 2-on-4. Again, Cedric is joining in at occasions, but he's not the fulcrum of the attack. What happens is Saka would basically get the ball, and 2 things would happen. 1, he would beat whichever 2 got to him first and leave it 1-on-1 going there, or the 3 of them would cave on him and he'd get the ball to Odegaard and Odegaard was off. Or what would happen was Soyuncu would come too close onto Soyuncu would come too close onto Odegaard. Dewsbury Hall would help. Odegaard gets the ball off, and it's 1-on-1. Neither of these 3 players at all knew how to deal with these 2. None, because Odegaard would go left, all of them would go left, and then Saka goes wide right, and then all of them would go wide right. It was amazing to see the chaos that these 2 players were causing. And again, all Cedric had to do just to be a threat was just to stand there. Now, he needed to stand there. But my point, why I don't give him so much credit, is just that that's all he had to do. You know, like yes, he gets there occasionally and he's putting the odd cross in, but he's only doing that to be a credible threat. The threat Arsenal want to do isn't to get the ball here with Cedric. What they want having is Saka to have the ball there. And Saka had the ball there time and time and time and time again. I mean, you can see immediately what's happening. He's just getting the ball, and he's getting the ball here and just running straight at the defence, and none of them had a clue how to deal with it. Because Barnes wasn't tracking back, and because Dewsbury Hall and Soyuncu and Thomas were too occupied with making sure that he didn't give the ball to Odegaard. And yes, on occasion Cedric would bomb past, but very rarely would he get the ball, because all he has to do is be a decoy. Because as soon as they go like that, now it's 2-on-2, and now he's in again. It happened so many times, and again, the reason why I don't give Cedric too much credit for it, because again, it's what he's supposed to do, but the difference between him and Tomiyasu is that Saka will go here and Odegaard will go here, Tomiyasu is not limited to just running down this way. He's 2 foot enough so that he can go this way as well. And then it's properly 3-on-3. Because now your right back is here. And now the defenders have an awful choice where it's like, well, hang on a minute. If the right back's going to run this way, do I let the right winger go this way? Well, no, okay, so let's scoot over here a bit. Oh, well, we can't do that because now the centre attacking midfielder is free. Well, okay, we'll all scoot across. We'll all make sure that's nice and tight over here. Oh, no. These are the decisions that Arsenal players and Mikel Arteta wants his team to force upon the defence. Do you go commit all one side, or do you just stay back and hope for the best and hope that somebody else sorts it out? Because for 75 minutes, as long as Saka was on the field, Leicester had no shot at being able to defend on the right. And as a result, every time they got the ball on the right, they were forced again and again to come over as a team to try and force him out. And as a result, again and again, Martinelli and Tierney were free on the left. It's because of Arsenal's now ability to get the ball from here to here to here to here quickly, and then not have to worry about it, but have the ability and the confidence to play through a press, that when Arsenal do get the ball here, they can now push forward. They can now get Leicester back. So Gabriel can come forward, White can come forward, Cedric can get here. And then, because Leicester are trying to counter-attack, they're trying to get Iheanacho and Maddison on the ball as quickly as possible, or when it's Iheanacho and Barnes. But because Arsenal are so high up, when Leicester do launch a counter-attack, they're on their own halfway line. So it's basically a foot race between 3 and 2. And every time they tried that, Gabriel and White were both mobile enough to keep Barnes and Iheanacho on their side of the pitch instead of getting goal side. And one chance that Harvey Barnes got in, it was a good save by Ramsdale. But apart from that and a header from a corner, Leicester did nothing. Leicester were unable to create enough of a chance. Yes, they had 20 decent minutes at the end of the first half, but it was the occasional shot. It wasn't anything clear cut. 0.52 XG. Nothing. And look, you'll see Arsenal get and say 2.89, that's huge. And yeah, but 0.79 of that is still from a penalty. But Arsenal's grouping their shots, like I said, and 21 of them. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16 inside the penalty box. That's what you want Arsenal to do, to get the ball into the box quickly and shoot. And it was just a case of letting Leicester have the ball at times, but being able to do more with it when Arsenal had the ball. Because, like I said, with the heat maps, it shows that they don't have it too often in the half. And it's not out of lack of touches. It's, they're only 70 behind Leicester, but just every time they got the ball here and every time they got the ball here, they were able to, at will, get forward. Their movement off the ball was so good that Leicester had no idea when to get it. And when Leicester did try and push the ball up the field, it got to this place and it got stuck. Because they had no out ball. They'd go there, look for the counter, and it was either forced down the right wing or held up in the middle. It was just a competent, comfortable 2-0. The scoreline is perfectly respectable of the performance. And, yeah, a comfortable 2-0 win. It's as simple as that. One that was needed. Because I'm bringing up the league table now because everyone would look at the games in hand and say they should add to those points. The thing Arsenal have now, more than anything, is that they have a cushion. Because the 3 games in hand they have over Manchester United are at home to Liverpool, away to Chelsea, and away to Tottenham. And it is more than conceivable, but even in the form that Arsenal are in right now, that they could get no points from those 9. And a month ago, if they got no points from those 9, I would have said that top 4 is over. I wouldn't have given them a shot in the world. Now, they could lose those games 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. and they'd still be a point ahead of United. And they'd be, joint. They'd probably be joint on points with Tottenham. Like, this is what Arsenal have done. Arsenal have given themselves a cushion. They've erased everyone else's advantage and can now look at those 3 games almost as bonus games. Because if they get one result from those 3, again, the easiest game of the 3 would be away at Tottenham, and that's never an easy game. Liverpool, I mean, just there. I'm not that I don't expect anything, but it'll be a good game. And if you lose to Liverpool, you lose to Liverpool. Same with Chelsea. Yes, now depending on the timing of the game, Chelsea might not exist by the time Arsenal play them. But right now, they're the European champions, and they're still 8 points clear of us. Yes, 2 games in hand, but they're still a damn good side. Could Arsenal get no points for those 3 games in hand? Yes, but Arsenal could get no points for those 3 games in hand and still be 4th. And that, I think, is the biggest takeaway from today. Arsenal now have given themselves a cushion. Arsenal now have given themselves a chance to have a blip, to have the typical April or go and lose 3 games in a row. They can do that now and still finish 4th. United can't do that. West Ham can't do that. Wolves can't do that. And Tottenham can't do that. We can. So the games at hand, I'm not worried about the points. I'm worried about the losses. And right now, Arsenal now have basically 3 losses they can afford in 12 games. At least 3. Whereas the teams below might be only able to lose 1 or 2 games tops if they want to finish 4th. That was my brief-ish analysis of Arsenal's 2-0 win over Leicester. Again, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like. If you do want these videos in your inbox on a regular basis, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell beside it, and you'll be notified when a video comes live. Yes, this video is out the same day as the match. It's taken a little bit for it to happen, but here we are. And yeah, bring on Liverpool on Wednesday, I suppose. It's a free shot. If they get a result out of it, even better. And we would have taken that at the start of the season, so let's definitely take it now. We'll see you next time, viewer. Cheers.